Welcome to Mixtapes and Tasty Cakes podcast. I'm Bert Lepore. He's Damian Monte Carlo. We're hanging here with Angry Mike D, and we talk about music, movies, and so much more.
All right, we're back. Another episode, Mixtapes and Tasty Cakes, episode 96, which backwards is 69. Whatever. This one we're talking, it's like our what if episode, and which we never done before. I thought be kind of fun to do, like anything, in a parallel universe. What if so and so didn't die, or what if anything like music related.
Yeah.
Some things that could have happened that didn't happen for one reason or other. So it's could be fun to kind of discuss and give our own opinions on what we think may have happened and how things get turned up. So
That sounds good. Well, let's go straight into it. What you got, Damo?
oh, I thought you had all the topics.
Oh, you want me to do it?
I don't have anything. I'm relying on you.
Yeah, maybe you could MC it, and
If I miss a couple, you come up with some of your own then. All right.
Yeah.
All right. The first one I'll put out there is we'll start off with one of your favorites, which isn't even on my list, but I'm going to throw it out there. What if Andrew Wood was still alive? Would Pearl Jam be as big as it was? Or is?
there wouldn't be a Pearl Jam.
No.
It would be Mother Love Bone, right? You think Mother Love Bone would be on that scale?
Nah, I don't think so. I see what Mother Love Bone is like.
It'd be like another Spin Doctors or something like that, in and out.
Yeah. They would probably be like, oh man, kind of like King's X. I could kind of see them like
You're going a little too far there, man. A little too far.
A band. Well, I think they probably would have put out a few albums and just kind of disbanded, and because King's X never had any success. I mean,
they had a
band.
little.
They're a musicians
Minor.
band. They're a musicians band as far as they're always all their shows do good, but they're all musicians that go see them. So they're a great band. I mean, they're still putting stuff out, but never commercial success. Not really, but people will show up to see them. They're not a household name, but all the musicians know them.
Yeah, I think they came out a little too early for, they probably would have put out a second album around 90 or 91 or something. But I just feel like people probably wouldn't have got it. They wouldn't really understood it.
Yeah, vocally, I think. Go ahead, Mike, we said.
Well, I want to know, like, what would happen to Eddie Vedder? Like, where would he end up, or what would he end up doing? Would he even be in the limelight anymore?
He wasn't even. I don't think he was even from Seattle. Wasn't he like from like
not even
somewhere in California, and he moved to Seattle? So he probably, I don't know. I mean,
I don't know where they found him.
I gotta say, I soured over them over the years, like big time now.
Who, Pearl Jam?
Yeah, I mean that 10 album came out. It was just so great, and to me, it's like everything after that was just.
The 10 album was unbelievable. And after that, there were songs for me, at least.
But I mean, like that's stuff you wouldn't have had,
No, I don't think. I think as good as Mother Love Bone was, and they were getting pushed like they were going to be big. I thought they were good. I thought Eddie Vedder, whether you like him or not, was pretty groundbreaking vocally. It was a total different sound, and everybody started mimicking that sound, and you got a lot of 90s stuff out of that deal.
Yeah, a lot of Eddie Vedder imitators.
Yeah. So we all pretty much agree that Pearl Jam wouldn't have been as big as Pearl Jam is now if it stayed Mother Love Bone. I think we're all in agreement with that.
Yeah.
All right, here goes another one for you. It was for a short period of time after the first Slayer record. Kerry King almost joined Megadeth. What do you think?
He was in Megadeth for a little bit. Yeah,
for a short period of time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was doing both. Really, like really early. I mean, I don't know, man. I can't picture him with Megadeth. I don't think it would have lasted.
No, him and Sting would have clashed eventually.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I think. I think that their personalities would have clashed. And honestly, man, I don't think Kerry King is really that great of a guitar player. Like, he's not like the caliber of all the other Megadeth guitar players ever. If he was like on a record, I guarantee he'd probably be like the worst Megadeth guitar player. I mean, he plays fast. He's more like a rhythm guy and everything. His solos make absolutely no sense. I always put him as like the CC DeVille of thrash metal. Like his solos were just like very
Wow.
erratic. Like I've always felt that way, and I'm not the only one out there who says it. He's not that great of a lead guitar player.
Wow. Yeah, he's got the new project coming out. I don't know what it's going to be, but I know he's got
He did
something
write
going.
most of the material.
Jeff Hanneman too. I mean,
Yeah,
so
another guitar player.
yeah, as a writer, but I mean, Mustaine writes all that Megadeth stuff anyway.
True.
Yeah.
He wanted to let Kerry King write a lick.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you got to remember, you also wouldn't have a Slayer at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I think it worked out that Kerry King stood in Slayer and Mustaine did his own thing, which would bring us up to Metallica. What if Mustaine stayed in Metallica? I mean, I'm glad it didn't work because we got two really good bands out of that deal, you know?
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been.
I don't think he would have stayed.
I don't
3
know, man.
albums.
If he didn't get kicked out, just say if he wasn't fired, and say his alcohol abuse was just in line with the other guys in the band, because they were all like alcohol.
Well, they caught up to him now. Well, so
yeah, but if it wasn't as extreme, I mean, they make it sound. I mean, Metallica were known to to drink and party and shit. For them to fire Mustaine, it must have been like Guns N' Roses firing Steven Adler. It must have been like on a totally different level. If
they
it
were
was,
probably like
if it
kids
was
too
on
then,
par,
right?
What's that?
They were like kids then, right?
Yeah, they were young. They're like 20, 21 or something.
Like barely even able to hold a bottle.
Yeah, I mean, if it was on par with the rest of the band, I think that could have worked. And would Mustaine would have even sang? Because Metallica was even looking at getting John Bush to sing with them right before Kill 'Em All came.
Yeah,
out.
that's another thing. Yeah,
because Hetfield didn't want to be the singer. He wanted to be more of a
I can't picture them with any other singer though.
But that was something that they were toying with. They even asked him, and Bush turned it down because his band was starting to get gain some traction. So you wonder if maybe Mustaine, they could have been like Metallica with two lead singers too. So who knows?
Yeah,
So I don't know if that would have worked.
I think they would have probably did something like that, but I think it all worked out for the best. I mean, I really think so. We got two great bands out of that deal, and I'm glad Bush didn't join because I kind of like what Bush did with Anthrax and some of the Armored Saint stuff. So I don't think it would have worked with it. Well, I don't think it would have been as big with Bush. If that's what happened.
Oh yeah, I mean, John Bush. I'm kind of happy that he never happened, but I don't know. I think Mustaine and Metallica would have been pretty cool. I think that would have worked, and it would have been, how could it be bigger than Metallica? But maybe it would have.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad, so glad it went the way it went. You know, I mean, we got two really great bands out of that deal. Okay, here goes an interesting one. We all know that Slash did audition for Poison. What if Slash was actually in Poison? Would it work? I'll go with you, Damo.
I don't know, man. It's kind of funny. Like, what if he just would have went for it and said, "Fuck it," If he did all that, I don't know, man. It's like
I don't know. Like I Slash is too masculine, especially with that first album, man, where they were all dialed up.
Well,
I mean,
you ever see old pictures
masculine for that, man?
True,
I don't know.
But have you ever seen old pictures of Guns N' Roses when they were playing the clubs? I mean, he was glammed up too.
Oh, really? Because you couldn't even see his face for most of the time anyway. It was covered in the hair.
Yeah, I mean, but he had like nail polish and shit on. But
well, yeah, it was usually like black nail polish. You give him, but I don't think he had like long fingernails.
No. I mean, personally, I don't think it would have worked. Number one, because CC wrote all those songs anyway.
Yeah,
all that music. He I mean, if you look in the album, they give everybody credit, but CC wrote all those songs. Talk Dirty to Me, he wrote that. I mean, and Slash is a writer too, but Guns N' Roses is more of like a unit. They wrote as a unit the best, and I can't see Slash ain't gonna write no happy songs for Bret Michaels to sing.
Hey, Poison could have even have been totally different. They could have been a grittier band, and
That's
Yeah.
true too. I mean, who knows?
But
Poison could have ended up like Guns N' Roses. So I mean,
Well,
probably not, but
I think it all worked out for the best again. I mean, it was a good move that Slash didn't make Poison. And we got Poison and Guns N' Roses out of the deal. So that's another beneficial move. Sticking with the Guns N' Roses thing, Tracy Guns, Axl Rose were in a band together, and they were the original Guns N' Roses, right? Tracy Guns, Axl Rose, and
yeah.
you know, I do like LA Guns. Nowhere near the success of Guns N' Roses, but Tracy Guns probably would have worked. I think. What do you think, Damon?
Yeah, I think it would have been on par with like LA Guns, though. It basically would have been LA Guns, but with Axl,
Singer,
and so it would be a little bit better, successful, a little more successful than it wouldn't been. Wouldn't have been like Slash Guns N' Roses level. No way.
Right. Right. Because Izzy was already in the band. Izzy would have been in the band probably too, right?
Yeah, and it wasn't Steven Adler. So Tracy and the drummer left at the same time, and Steven and Slash joined at the same time. So
Yeah.
you wouldn't have had Steven in there, but they could have got away with any drummer, really.
Yeah. Mike, anything on that? Your opinion on that?
Not really. I'm not really a big LA Guns fan, so I don't know. It probably would have ruined it, in my opinion.
Okay.
I don't think Guns N' Roses would have had the punch that they did with him for some reason.
Yeah. I mean,
just because because of his name. So
Tracy Guns is really, really good, but I think that worked out for the better too. LA Guns was Tracy Guns sound pretty much,
Well, it didn't work out better for
maybe not for
Tracy Guns.
Tracy Guns,
Leaving one of the biggest bands, of all time.
Right.
But
and they're still using his name.
Yeah, ain't that's
right.
That was always
even though I'm sure it's a stage name anyway. So
right, but the same thing. Axl's last name isn't Rose, so
right.
it is, but it is kind of weird though. Still having like two guys, Guns and Rose, and then you name the band after them, and then like the one guy Guns leaves.
That would be like Damien leaving Monte Carlo on this football
right.
Monte Carlo.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
exactly.
yeah, both have multiple, different meanings too. So as an outsider, you don't even have to know their names.
You wouldn't even know.
Oh, Guns N' Roses is a cool name.
Yeah, you would never know. It just sounds like you would never know. Here goes one. I don't know if you guys remember this rumor, but there was a rumor when Vince Neil was kicked out, left, or whatever the deal was with Motley Crue, right after Decade of Decadence came out. The rumor was David Lee Roth was going to join Motley Crue. Do you remember that rumor? Anybody besides me?
I don't
totally
remember that one, but I did hear something that Sebastian Bach actually said that he was asked to join or audition the band.
Crazy.
I mean, both scenarios, David Lee Roth,
Never
that
worked.
wouldn't work. I mean,
they would have got a better singer out of the deal, I think. And I'm not even that big on David Lee Roth singing. It's just his energy and feel.
Yeah, Dave would have been like,
I don't
that's
know.
what they
They definitely would have.
feel good.
I think they would have. I think they would have got better product. I definitely.
I don't think it would work. No way would it work. It'd be a total.
It wouldn't have worked, but I don't know, man. I can't take listening to Vince Neil. It's tough for me.
How about if Sebastian Bach was with them? Say he did audition, and I think that could have been
with Crue.
Yeah,
it would have been interesting.
I could absolutely hear that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that would have turned out better than Corabi because he was a big name at the time.
Of course, he was a big name.
He wanted to quit Skid Row was at their peak at that time. He wouldn't have left. But even if he did, say Skid Row wasn't, we're just like Kick Tracy or somebody, and he did quit. Say Sebastian was in a band like The Scream, like John Corabi was in, and he quit. I could see them doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Come to think of it, man, I would have loved to hear Sebastian Bach and Motley Crue.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been interesting. It would have been interesting. Well, sticking on Sebastian, the other rumor was, and I think it was pretty recent, Sebastian said that he was offered an audition or to join Van Halen after Sammy left in like 96. I don't know. That would have been weird too, I think.
Yeah, I don't know, man. that could have been, I could see him because he's kind of like wild, like David Lee Roth, but he could sing. He's got a great voice, like Sammy Hagar did. It could be like the best of both worlds, no pun intended.
I can't take listening to Sammy Hagar at all. Like, it's
Maybe you would have liked it.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I look at
Hessenbach
he killed Van Halen, and I know they were probably bigger than ever when Halen.
They were.
I couldn't do it, man. I just couldn't.
Yeah,
I tried, and it just no.
I could definitely understand people, being having those feelings. A lot of people do because they were just a different band, man. They just were like really happy and radio friendly, and just like totally different than like Rolf had like that swagger and everything. But I do like Sammy. I think he's cool like on his own. But with Van Halen, I do like some of that stuff.
They lost their vibe when they lost David Lee Roth. He was just like kind of like the ultimate front man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
doing flips and all the splits and shit he used to do on stage. He was energy.
Yeah.
So,
you got to watch Sammy Hagar with his stupid Zubas.
Segue. What if David Lee Roth didn't leave Van Halen? Would they have continued on to the same path? I mean, because they were on 1984, they were starting to add some keyboards and stuff like I'll Wait. I mean,
I think that's where they were going.
Went that way.
They were going that way.
Yeah, I read that like songs like Summer Nights and stuff that was actually like they were like demoed with Dave. I mean, obviously probably called something else, but
right.
So some of those songs
I could see Dave singing that. I could see Dave singing that.
I can too. Yeah.
Would they have lasted as long as far as like, or would they have still been as big as an act if Dave was still with them? I don't know.
Yeah,
I kind of think so.
Tough,
absolutely.
Yeah.
No doubt. I think they lost people when they got Sammy Hagar.
Yeah, but they were. I mean, I rather see. I mean, I'm more of a Dave guy, but man, that crowd got huge once they got Sammy. It broke
like what did they get? A couple of mom fans, Come on.
Yeah, it's a lot of records.
I think
it's a lot of records.
I think they probably lost some hardcore fans, but I think they gained like a shitload more.
Quadruple the amount.
Yeah, like soccer moms and shit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they probably would have still been successful. I can kind of see them like along the same path as like AC/DC success. Like every album's still doing well, but
right.
I don't think they'd be as big. I don't think they would have had like those huge records like they did with Sammy. I don't know.
I mean, 1984 was pretty big.
It was big. Yeah.
It was huge.
So what's huge albums were with Sammy though? Like that you would say?
Everyone.
Okay, 51, 50.
Except for
You
Balance,
812 was all right. That's the only one I could.
Yeah, but it had a lot of hits on it. It had a whole lot of hits on it. Oh, you 812.
Right now, I mean,
they
would never sing a song like that.
Yeah. From Lawful Carl Knowledge had a bunch of hits.
That was a good song. But I mean,
you got 5150 had a bunch of hits. You have OU812 had a bunch of hits. You have For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge had a bunch of hits. Balance, I don't think there was much going on with Balance, and I don't know if I'm missing one in between somewhere. But
they put out hits with David Lee Roth. There's tons of hits with David Lee Roth.
Yeah, but it broke through. It broke through more radio.
You think just adding new life to this band? Like I don't know.
Numbers are right.
Solo. Look what Dave did on his solo. He didn't really do much after that first record.
Nobody really does good on their solo albums. Come on.
Still though, he had
how many artists really go on solo careers to have a big following? It's not many when you think about it.
Not many. I mean, but
Don Dokken.
Nah, but I'm just using that. I'm just using that as a point. Like it's Dave's solo band, right? He's steering the ship. It's his vision. Okay, you got the first
Ace Frehley.
That first record, right? Eat 'Em and Smile. Okay, I could see that. That's sort of like in the Van Halen vein. But the second album, Skyscraper, that's a total like. That's pretty much he was probably watching what Van Halen was doing. Tons of keyboards and poppiness.
I love that record. So, them two records.
I love that record too.
Them two records.
I think
love.
Yeah.
It gets a little funky after that.
Yeah, I mean, talk about Total,
I haven't
total
listened to
cheese,
Skyscraper in
jeez.
years. That was one of the first rock albums I bought.
Ah, it's awful.
I
I
loved
love
it
it.
back in
There's
the
like
day.
no, there's like no guitar
I didn't
on
listen
that.
to it
It's
for
all
a
keyboard.
while. I'm like, I can't do it. And then, recently, within the last couple of years, I listened to it again. I'm like, you know what? It's not as bad. It's actually better than I remember.
Ah, it's
I
all
like that.
keyboards.
It is a lot of keyboards. It is a
Mhm.
lot of keyboards. So let's segue into
Everybody was doing the keyboards. So
what's
everybody.
that time? It's what was going on. I want to segue into you
Yeah.
mentioned AC/DC. What if Bon Scott stayed alive and recorded the Back in Black album? You think it would have that same impact that it had? I don't think so. Even
Yeah,
though I love
I
Bon
think
Scott.
so.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I,
I
th-
mean, I definitely think so. I mean,
I think it.
Let's
yeah.
go in order. Let's go in order here, guys, because we're jumbling up a little bit.
I don't think there would have been any change, honestly. I don't think they would have been bigger, and I don't think they would have not been as big. I mean, after Back in Black was one of the biggest albums of all time. I mean, Angus and Malcolm pretty much they wrote all the songs anyway. Brian Johnson didn't write any lyrics except on Back in Black, but Bond could have wrote shit like that anyway.
yeah, I
so.
think the vocal impact was so different, though. It was different. It was just new life. Even though Bond was great,
He
you
was
know?
bigger.
Yeah.
He was bigger, like more shouty with the vocals in your face. But Bon Scott just had that snarl. Like, he had more character to his voice in my.
I agree. I agree with
And
that.
even a little more accessible too.
But
you know?
I also think they would have been a little more on the artiste side with Bon Scott. Trying a little something different once in a while.
Yeah. And the last record they did do, Bon Scott was great. The Highway to Hell was a great, great record.
Mhm.
I mean, really ranks up. I mean, what do you do? Highway to Hell and Back in Black are probably the two best
Oh yeah,
AC/DC records.
yeah. I mean, back to back. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So
with a
you go
different singer. It's
yeah, but
crazy.
a different singer, and they don't sound take the vocals out musically, but they're in line with each other. They never really
Yeah.
change.
Yeah. All right, guys. What if Ozzy stayed in Sabbath? You think they would still be big?
I don't know, man. I think Dio really gave them like a shot of adrenaline that they needed because they were kind of like on the downward spiral. Like the last few albums with Ozzy were not that good,
Right.
and they were all totally fucked up with drugs. So I don't know, man. I think maybe they would have had a few good albums later on if they like it through the 80s, but I think that was probably the best thing that happened for both. That's another one. We talked about it a few instances already where what happened was probably the best move for everybody. So I kind of think what happened, Ozzy leaving and Sabbath getting Dio was the best for both parties, because I don't
Mhm.
think they would have been that successful
Right.
had Ozzy have stayed.
And Mike, there goes the point, Mike. You said what solo guys did better solo? Ozzy and Dio. There goes two right
There
there.
you go.
Okay, right.
That's two right off the bat, which I didn't even think of till you just mentioned that. So
But there's really not many.
No, there's not. No.
there's not many. Most of them wind up doing the side thing and go back, or they fall
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Mike? You think Sabbath would have been that big with Ozzy, or you think they would have fell off?
I don't know. I mean, they already had what, about 8 or 9 albums out when Ozzy left. So
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of albums right there anyway. How many
Yeah.
albums was it? Anybody know for what's that?
You had Black Sabbath, Paranoid, Master Reality, Volume 4, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, Sabotage, Technical Ecstasy, Never Say Die, like 8. I would say about 8.
8. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's a career for most fans.
Mm-hmm. True.
So I mean, but look at all the bands that did go through bad times and came back. Aerosmith, even Metallica went through bad times and came back.
Aerosmith is
So, I
actually
mean,
Aerosmith is actually a pretty good example. So maybe they would have had like a couple shitty records, a couple more shitty records, and then maybe they would have got back on track.
Yeah.
I mean, even Motorhead lasted forever. So it's like, yeah, I think I think they could have survived those couple bad albums and came back with a punch.
Yeah.
Especially like in the 80s, like metal was getting big around then again. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it definitely could have been Life with Sabbath and Ozzy. Definitely.
Yeah, but I think it definitely worked out for the best. So I mean, we got 3 great bands out of that
Well,
deal.
right.
We got
Yeah.
Sabbath, which still was good.
Dio years.
We got
right.
Dio and we got Ozzy. I mean, Ozzy, thank God Ozzy went solo. Ozzy solo shit's great, I mean, I love the Sabbath stuff
I don't
too.
know. I
But
mean, I think it's a little overrated Ozzy solo stuff. I like a lot, some of it, but
I think with
probably
Ozzy,
less than.
I think it was the mystique, especially when we were younger. It was there was a whole mystique about him.
Yeah, it's like for me, it's like looking back, especially listening to a lot of it now. I'm like, it's a tough listen for me. A lot of it, like especially the early stuff.
See, I love the early stuff.
Well, like I mean, like you said, Bert, the mystique. I mean, he
Mystique,
like
yeah.
Motley Crue, like they had like the reputation, kind of really helped their career. Ozzy, but
Yeah.
with the bat and the dove and
Yeah.
peeing on the Alamo and all that shit. I mean, he's like got a whole list of crazy shit that
Yeah.
he did that helped his
Mhm.
career.
When he shaved his head, mailed his wife his hair, like all kinds of crazy.
Yeah, and that
shit.
was all during the solo years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean,
I
a
don't
lot
know.
of good stuff. All right, I got an interesting one for you. Hypothetically speaking, okay, we know Page really. I mean, we know Plant really don't want to do a Led Zeppelin tour or anything like that. But if a tour did happen, and if it was Jason Bonham, or not even a tour, if they continued Led Zeppelin without Robert Plant, but with Jason
I thought
Bonham,
they did do a tour
They did
They
do
did
one.
that
They
one
did a couple
show.
dates. I think they 2 dates maybe.
with because they
One.
had Bonham's son there.
Yeah, it was
they
only
did
like
the
2
one
dates.
show.
But what if they had Jason Bonham, they had John Paul Jones, Jimmy Page, and Coverdale? I mean, Plant would have a shit fit probably if that happened, but that would definitely pull it off. They definitely pulled it off, I think.
I don't think they would call it Led Zeppelin though.
No,
Without Robert
Plant.
Plant because they were trying. They auditioned after they did that one reunion show like 10 years ago.
Mhm.
They auditioned Steven Tyler and
Crazy.
Sammy Hagar and what's his name from plays with Slash's band,
Miles
Alter
Kennedy.
Bridge. Miles Kennedy. So the 3 of them came down, but they said Page said that, or Jason Bonham said that it was going to be like just like a new band,
Like a super group kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Coverdale would have pulled it off.
Yeah.
I always say Coverdale to me is a better Page. I know it's not Page.
Or Plant.
Plant,
Yeah,
a
but
better Plant.
does Coverdale make a better Zepp? No.
No, well, no,
No.
yeah, no, but he could definitely sing those songs. I mean, he
Robert
made it
Plant.
relevant. Yeah.
Robert Plant used to call him David Cover version.
Yeah,
'Cause he always used to say that I think he said it in like some magazines back in the day.
they got a battle. They had a little battle.
Like
going.
I don't know. I'm not going to trash Whitesnake. I mean, they're all great musicians. I think David Coverdale's a great singer. For me, they just don't do it.
that 87 record.
I can't get into
that
Whitesnake.
87 record is a masterpiece.
Yeah,
Every
Yep.
song. on it.
Just can't do it.
Still of the
I
night,
can't
dude.
do
That's
Great
the
song.
80s
Okay, I
Cashmere.
mean,
it's the
yeah.
80s Cashmere.
It's for all right. I mean, I'll give Still in the Nights. Great song. I don't know, man. I just they're like I said, they're a great band, and they were really cool guys. I saw them live in concert. We did that video thing for them, back it was probably like '89 or something like that. And but I don't know. I never owned a Whitesnake album.
I think it's too
they
much.
come on the
lovey-dovey
radio. I
stuff.
kind of get annoyed. I don't know. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
So, but
I think
they're great. They
the
are.
re-
I'm
the
not going to
reason-
wreck them. But
The reason they get crapped on probably because a lot of songs is this love or this love and this love and that love and this love.
those are a
there's
lot of bands like
there's
that too. Though.
Well, that's that whole genre kind of, and I think that's what kind of could be a turnoff to some people. They wind up being like the chick band almost, without
Right.
looking like Poison.
Yeah,
they wind up
they
being
went the path as
Like it's like Michael Bolton
Bon
on
Jovi.
steroids.
Yeah.
But as far as a band, I think every lineup of Whitesnake was crazy great musicians. Every one of them.
Oh yeah, you can't deny that. But
And if you-
John Sykes was the guy.
John Sykes was the best. And if you listen to the stuff,
Like Blue Murder though.
Blue Murder's great. If you
Blue
listen to
Murder
the
was great,
stuff
yeah.
before the 87 record,
Yeah.
it's still great. There's a lot of good shit in there, man. You'll probably like the older White Snake better than the '80s White Snake, Mike, for your taste. I think
It's more rock and roll.
It's more rock and roll, more kind of, I wouldn't say Zeppelin-y, but that kind of
like
old
blues
school
rock,
'70s
yeah.
rock and roll.
To me, it's the voice, and I know he's got a great voice. It's just for me, I can't listen to it.
I got a question for you, Mike.
Yeah.
Who do you like better? David Coverdale or Sammy Hagar?
I mean, I'd probably go with Sammy Hagar. Yeah.
Wow. And I will say, out of all of them, Sammy sounds the freaking best still. Sammy still sounds like Sammy.
He sounds great. Yeah.
Crazy. And he's got to be what? Mid-70s?
I mean,
like
it's close.
Yeah.
I don't know. They have that same kind of voice. It's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, they get that raspy voice.
But I like the raspy voice, but the way they use it, I don't. I don't know if that makes sense. It's
they're big to me. They're guys they're big singers. Like they could sing, like a Dio, but Dio's a little grittier.
Yeah.
But these guys could actually sing. You know what I mean? It's tough. Okay. What if Metallica did go with Les Claypool? That would have been weird. I don't think that would ever work.
He could play though. I mean, everybody thinks
great.
he's going to go up there and do Primus stuff, but if you listen to some of the stuff, like especially on like some of those Pink Floyd covers, they even did a Metallica cover, I think, didn't they?
Yeah,
probably.
And
I forget what it was, but
they did something. Yeah.
He could play for real. He's that's just the style he chooses to do on Primus, but
I just don't
he
think
could play his ass off. Like
I really
stuff
think
like that.
Jason should have just stayed.
But look wise, I don't think he would have fit in. He's
Not
got
at
that
all.
kind of like caricature, goofy kind of
Never would
appearance. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm not a fan of Robert Trujillo, and he was.
I love him, but I don't like him in
I
Metallica.
like him. Yeah, I don't like him in Metallica. Yeah. I mean, talk
Great
about
player.
don't fit, man. I don't think he fits in that band at all.
It doesn't bother me though. I think
he bothers the fuck out of me. Walking like a crab and everything, and that
I think
crab walk he does.
Jason
Like,
Newsted was the perfect replacement for Cliff
He
Burton.
was. Yeah.
And that's my Metallica.
he was always the
friend.
red-haired stepchild.
Yeah, but
definitely.
Jason, I thought Jason was perfect.
That's what blew my mind. Like they treated that guy like shit, and he was in the band for, I don't know, 14, 15 years or whatever. Then they get Robert.
But did they
Trujillo.
really treat him like shit, or is this just a side we're here?
They admitted it.
They admitted
really?
it. They admitted it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they apologize, after the fact when
Yeah.
it's too late, when he's not in the band. But then they get this, this guy Robert now in the band, and he's like, he does the interviews, he's treated like gold and everything. It's like kind of fucked up,
Well, I mean, he was in Suicidal Tendencies, I mean,
Oh, he's an incredible musician.
I mean, it's not like they're probably one of the biggest punk thrash crossover bands around.
Yeah, he played with Ozzy.
So-
I know it's still that's what it always like.
It is weird that I mean, I think Jason was the perfect replacement.
But
for
I
Cliff.
said Suicidal Tendencies, right? Because I'm like,
yeah.
Right,
Infectious Grooves he was in.
Infectious. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
I think he's more of a
funk
groove,
metal.
like more like a funk metal bass player. I mean, but he could play
That's
anything.
how I say him at. Yeah, almost in line with like a Les Claypool, but like more metal.
Yeah, I mean, he could play
version,
anything.
but-
I mean, he's ridiculous. I mean, he's
Hey,
playing
he's
a
a
lot of the
great
songs
player.
with his fingers. He plays them songs. It's
Yeah.
insane. Great
He's an amazing
player.
I just
Yeah,
I just don't like his whole stage demeanor.
yeah. I don't think it's a fit with Metallica with the shorts and all that. Even though it sounds silly, but it just don't.
Yeah.
It don't look like Metallica.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
Jason Newsted was the perfect fit. I mean, yeah, it's a shame that just didn't get worked out. Okay, here goes an interesting one. Before Elvis died, he wanted David Bowie to produce his last record.
Really.
Yeah, I just read that today.
Huh.
That could have been interesting.
Yeah. I've never heard that, but
Yeah.
I could kind of see that because Bowie was working with Iggy Pop, and
Mhm.
he did that song with Bing Crosby, and he was kind of like all over the place.
Yeah,
I don't know, that probably would have been kind of cool. You know what? I could see going a little bit off topic, but like how what's the name? Rick Rubin did all that Johnny Cash stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine if he did, if Elvis would have lived.
And Rick Rubin
Elvis
did
did-
Johnny Cash. If Rick Rubin did Elvis, that'd been
Elvis,
fucking
yeah.
great. Because he
Yeah.
did Neil Diamond too, and there was some cool Neil Diamond stuff that he did.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I think there was a couple Deaf American Neil Diamond things. Yeah.
Oh, I
You
don't
have to
know
look
that.
you have to look into that, Damo.
Yeah.
Um,
well,
He redid Sweet Caroline.
did we just talk about that?
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, imagine if here goes, that's a good one. If Rick Rubin did to Elvis what he did for Johnny Cash,
if
that
he would have lived, yeah.
I would have worked. Yeah.
it would have been dark. It would have been a dark Elvis,
Yeah.
which I'm a fan of the later Elvis, the 70s
Me
Elvis.
too,
I actually
yeah.
like.
It was a little more adventurous.
Yeah,
That's what I like. Yeah, like just Suspicious Minds and everything.
Yeah.
It's such a great song.
great song. I mean, Elvis.
Yeah.
Listen, Elvis was fucking great. He was great. But I really dug this. It's like the equivalent to the Beatles. I like the Beatles' late stuff compared to their early stuff.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
great songs, but
Mhm.
it was more. Well, you got to remember the time, right? It was like it's like saying if Poison changed their whole thing. Now they, when they came out, they were of the time. If they came out, they grew into something else. They grew into something else. But yeah, it's of the time. When you break it, and music was different then, probably more than it was now. Because I wouldn't say, I mean, rock and roll is kind of new. When the Beatles kind of broke and all that stuff. It was sound, and then the sound changed in the 60s, and then it got kind of like hippy dippy, psychedelic, and then it was getting real. They were really getting into the instruments and doing some real weird shit.
Do you think Elvis would have done like a disco record?
Absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
110%.
Yeah,
Disco
I could
Elvis.
definitely.
Well,
hear-
wait, what year did Elvis die, though?
77, right?
Yeah,
That's right,
right
when
near.
disco
Right.
started
Yeah.
getting big. That would have been fucking cool, I think.
That would have been cool. I would have liked it. I'm telling you, I don't mind the disco. I like it more now than I did when I was
I
young.
love it. Dude,
I like it.
I was listening to the Studio 54 station on Sirius this morning going to work.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool
Well,
stuff in there.
I think what makes it better too was like now it's like dance music's like a bunch of like electronics, and with disco you had guys out there with
Yeah, it was organic.
instruments.
Yeah.
So yeah, it felt a little. Looking back at it, it feels more organic than the crap that we have now.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so here goes the last one I have on my list, and I think we all do know the story. Quincy Jones invited Prince to collaborate with Michael Jackson on the song "Bad," and Prince turned it down. What if that happened? I just think Chappelle. Every time I think Prince, I think Chappelle.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Yeah, it would have been cool. I mean, I'm trying to think of like another cool collaboration.
Well,
like,
the line, I think the line that turned Prince off was "Your ass is mine" or something like that. He's like,
Yeah.
whatever that line is. Your butt is mine. Your butt is mine. Whatever that is.
Yeah.
Prince was
I
like,
don't know.
"No."
Yeah, I think Prince felt like he was a little above Michael Jackson.
Oh, absolutely.
before,
Prince
you know.
definitely had an ego.
He was like the
absolutely.
serious guy, and Michael Jackson was more about having fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm probably wrong about
Well,
that.
you got to remember,
They're
Prince
both
also
pretty
played-
strange dudes.
Yeah, Prince played every instrument though. I mean, I think that's the difference. Where Prince,
Yeah.
he wasn't just a singer. Yeah. But Damo, you got anything on your list?
Yeah, I just had one like what if well, used The Who as an example, like Keith Moon died and they still continued. What if Zeppelin would have continued with another drummer like Carmine Appice or somebody?
That would have been a
On
good.
Wild
I think that would have been a good guy to get.
Oh, it could have been
Yeah.
any drummer, just throwing it out there. But what if they would have continued on, throughout the 80s? I kind of think they would have been a little more keyboard oriented because
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Well, look what
that
that.
direction.
Look what Jimmy Page did with like The Firm was probably the next big band he did for a little while. And it was kind of like got the key. It was that. Yeah, they all would have had that.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah,
I don't
The
remember.
Firm.
I mean, I
I
know,
know
the
the
band.
name. I just don't. I never.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything they did.
You would have seen them in like suit jackets playing, the guitar or guitar. Or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah. Yeah.
It would have
It was
been
sort of like what in the vein of like Wings or something like that.
Yeah, maybe a little heavier, but yeah, like that kind of. They would have been like I don't know, like a Dire Straits band, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
They would have got popular. They definitely would
Yeah,
have got popular.
that's how I feel. I think they wouldn't have been.
They would have been a metal band. They would have got. They would have been.
I don't know. I
They would have
mean,
been for us. They would have been an older guy band. Even though Zeppelin, even though they're older, I never count them as being that older type music.
yeah,
Like like
maybe.
old
I
guy
mean,
music.
I could kind of really see them going either way, though. I could see them going more of a metal direction, because you got, all the new wave of British heavy metal bands, but they didn't like metal, so maybe they wouldn't
Right.
have went in that direction.
Right.
They probably would have went in more of like that, yeah, like Dire Straits, like more of like a rock and roll
Contemporary
stripped
kind of the
down
Pretenders, like that kind of.
Yeah, I know.
Where
Yeah.
it's like easy digestible. It won't. We would still have some cool guitar stuff, but it would be more. Yeah, it
More
wouldn't be as
MTV,
aggressive.
yeah.
More MTV. Anything
Yeah.
else on your list, Damo?
Nah, that's pretty much all I had. Not to bring them up again, but I did have a one what if we didn't touch on, but like what if, everybody says, disco, that disco song, I Was Made for Loving You, kind of like killed Kiss's career. It was like downhill from there. So what if they didn't do? What if they didn't do that and just kind of did like another hard rock record like Love Gun or something?
Well, how many disco songs did they do?
They
Really?
just that one.
Maybe
They-
well, there might have
one
been
or
three
two.
on that
come on.
record, maybe. But
Look, I'm not a huge Kiss fan, but look, if people are complaining about one or two fucking songs like that, you know what?
19
There's no way that killed.
in
I don't think-
1979 they did.
yeah,
What?
They killed them for it because the next two records were trash.
yeah,
Because it wasn't, what wasn't like now where somebody puts an album out and then like the feedback is instant, and they'll turn on you in a second. This was like kind of like just like how Van Halen was, right? When Sammy joined the band, they get all the soccer moms. Well, Kiss got all their
Kids.
hardcore fans
Yeah.
kind of left them, and they gained like all these kind of fly by night kind of,
yeah.
Yeah, but over one song, I mean,
yeah, dude, yeah.
But the
It's
weird
crazy.
thing
I
is,
mean-
that the song did great numbers. That's the
Yeah, it was the biggest hit.
the biggest hit. So it's hard to argue. It's so weird. I mean, for me as a Kiss fan, but I was also younger. But for me as a Kiss fan, it didn't ruin. Actually, it made me listen to them probably more, and I'm still a Kiss fan. So I don't think it might have hurt them with the hardcore fan base, but they probably gained more in the long run. That's the way I kind of look at it. And I don't think, I mean, they call Dynasty a disco record. There might be 2 or 3 songs that are kind of disco-y on it. I mean, what do you got? I Was Made for Loving You, the Peter Criss song,
Sure knows something.
Sure Knows Something, and
Dirty
the Peter
Living.
Criss and Dirty Living, which I love that song. I
That's
love that
it.
song.
Yeah, the three.
That's really, I
yeah.
mean, Save Your Love's not disco, Hard Times is not
No,
disco.
yeah.
I mean, it was at even didn't Zeppelin do a couple of disco-y songs too? Like, I mean,
Rod Stewart,
Rod Stewart did, yeah.
Stones, Angel, a lot of like
They all
hard rock
kind of
bands did.
listen. You go with the times, and sometimes and
Yeah.
also you try different shit.
sometimes a lot of it
Yeah,
has to do with the artist saying, "I could do this too." Let's,
you want to try it. I'm like that. Let's try something I,
I think
never tried
people-
before.
I think now, modern times, people are more forgiving.
Yeah.
When a band tries to do like 1 or 2 songs outside of their box. Back then, I don't think.
Back then you had your strong fan base, and they, it's almost like your football team, and you have your quarterback, and oh my god, they traded the quarterback. I hate this team now. Like, or the guy left. I
Yeah.
hate the player.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it was more like a gang back then. So you have your team who you're rooting for. But yeah, so yeah, that's I thought they caught a bad fucking break on that, but who knows? I mean, look at our generation.
Yeah.
Look at the Metallica record. When the Black Album came out, how many people, Metallica got too big. People started turning on them, I mean, they got
Right.
guess what? They were bigger than ever after that. So who cares if
Yeah.
a couple thousand people said, "Oh, it's not heavy enough," and I'm moving on.
Mhm.
Who cares? They gained, which Jason Newsted's line.
Millions more.
Yeah, we sold out every seat. So
Yeah,
who
right.
cares?
I really don't have a problem with Metallica now. I mean, it's to me, I think they just did a natural progression.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't either.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they were still heavy. They still had a punch. I mean, freaking Hetfield still had that masculine sound to him. I mean, it's like I don't know. People could just be. I guess I could be too, but sometimes people are just too critical.
Yeah. Mike putting it out there.
And coming from Mike D, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, you know what though? I mean, I listened back recently to, and even you did too, because I think we were pretty amazed together on. We went back and listened to that Load album again, and it's what a
good.
great fucking album.
Yeah.
Like
It took 20 years for me to.
I hate it when I first heard it, but now it's like that's been on my turntable for like the past couple weeks. It's fucking great.
Yeah, there's some good riffs on there.
Yeah, a lot of good. It's just a
Some
different
great harmonies. I mean,
it's a different
just,
sounding record.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah,
Listen,
it's like a
like
heavy
even-
blues record.
yeah.
Like,
even
yeah.
Motorhead did stuff like that. They kind of toned down a bit for some of their albums.
Listen, for me, my favorite Motorhead stuff is the late 80s stuff where his vocals are a little cleaner sounding. That's the stuff I like. But Motorhead was also a band that, as heavy as they were, they tried a lot of different crazy shit.
Oh yeah,
It's, he sang different ways and everything wasn't just fast and heavy, But
Like,
you really got to get
to
into
me,
the
it's like
catalog.
if Metallica would have stayed the same way, they just would have been a heavier AC/DC. Okay, new Metallica album's coming out. You know what you're going to get.
Yeah, it's cool that they took chances and
Sure.
changed things up.
I think
Look how
that's
many
what
chances the
happened.
Beatles took.
Right.
Every record, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of artists are the real artists are, you have your ones that go, okay, we have a hit like this, we got a format, we stick with the format until it dries up. And then you have the other artists where every album is different. Some guys are like, I want every album to be different. David Bowie, every record was different. He looked different. He sounded different. There's not two Bowie albums that sound alike. Every album was a whole different chapter,
Yeah.
And I kind of like that. Even if I wasn't digging, the vibe, it doesn't matter. I like that you take shots. And somebody like Marilyn Manson kind of has been like that within the last couple of records. Now, granted, I like the
That's
first
why I
2 or 3
dig-
records a lot, but he kind of, each album's kind of going in that Bowie direction as far as everyone's different now. But I guess as an artist, you got it sometimes.
That's why I dig King Gizzard, man. They just, everything's different. It's like you could kind of tell it's them, but each one of their albums has that just different vibe to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but then again, if AC/DC came out with a power ballad album, we'd be like, you know what I mean? It's a double-edged sword. If Slayer came out sounding like, Nelson, it ain't going to work. So it don't work for everybody. You know? It's like, it don't work for everybody. Some guys could take the
Slayer, an album of love songs.
Yeah.
South of Love.
Yeah, South of Love. Yeah. But Mike, you got anything on your list?
Well, I didn't even know this one until today. I'm sure some people do, of course, but I heard that Dimebag was going to join or audition for Megadeth.
I didn't hear. Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't hear that.
And Dave Mustaine got him on the phone. They were talking, and he's like, "Well, I got to bring my brother with me. He's the drummer for me."
Yeah.
And
That was
Dave
early,
Mustaine's like, "What the
yeah.
fuck?" He's like, "We already got Nick Menza." He's like, "Sorry, dude, can't take it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
yeah.
Yeah.
What do you, I mean, that could have been interesting.
Yeah, could have been.
That would have been great, probably. Yeah. But same thing. I think Mustaine's got his vision. It's Mustaine's deal, man, and he has every right for it to be his deal. He's
And
been
then
carrying
again,
that
you-
flag from day one.
Another 2 great bands, out of it.
Sure. Sure. What do you think? Dane, I'll go first. Favorite Megadeth lineup?
I like the Rust in Peace lineup.
Best.
best.
lineup. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Mike,
Yep, I'm with you.
I'm with you. What was it? Rust in Peace Countdown were the same lineups?
I
Great
mean,
lineup.
they're my 2 favorite albums by now.
Yeah, I just think the songs were so much better, and I think that the album sounded good. I mean, the stuff kind of before that just
They had
seemed like
production.
yeah, it was definitely like low budget production, so it's a little bit harder on the ears. But yeah, that's my favorite lineup.
Yeah, I agree
was
with that.
one.
I agree. That's definitely my favorite Megadeth lineup. And Megadeth's got a new record coming out in a couple weeks. And I
I
heard
like the
2
lineup
clips.
now. I like the lineup they have now. It's
Yeah.
great.
Lamento's back, right? He's not on the record, but I know he's doing
He
the
is,
tour.
yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
doing the tour. But yeah, I mean, they're good. I mean, Megadeth, that's another band. Like, you know what you're getting kind of deal. But it gives you enough different shit in there that it's okay, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's we got that coming out. New Ozzy's coming out. October, I think we got the new Skid Row coming out. There's a bunch of stuff that's, you know, it's getting ready to come out. You think we'll ever see a new Guns N' Roses record?
Who
I know they put out some
cares?
singles. I care.
Who
I would buy it.
fucking cares?
I'd buy it.
I
Seem
don't
like
think
you're
so.
stuck in a
That
rut over
legacy off of one album. Okay, you know, come on.
I don't think so.
You know what? They really and Guns N' Roses. They didn't even change music. You know, how did they change music? They didn't do nothing to change music, and yet this album, great fucking album, Appetite for
there. Perfect
Destruction.
record. It's a perfect
But
record.
it didn't. What came out of it? You know, a bunch of bands trying to sound like Guns N' Roses.
Nobody succeeded.
No, nobody succeeded
think,
out of it.
I think it kind of led the way for just the band from Seattle. Honestly,
What?
Yeah.
How's that?
dude, if
Just the grittiness out of it, and they did lots of
grittiness
drugs
and
and
stuff.
drinking.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know,
mean,
but
you look at bands pre Guns N' Roses and then after, everybody was after Guns N' Roses came out, everybody was ditching the hairspray and the pink and the neon, and they're all going for like
Well,
leather jackets,
Yep.
jean jackets. Every
It changed
band,
the look. If
every
anything,
band.
it changed the look more than the sound. It changed.
Look at Motley Crue, perfect example. And
Yeah.
they were bigger than Guns N' Roses, and they saw what they were doing, and they totally changed. They
Yep.
went
I
from,
think
like,
Guns N' Roses could have been the biggest rock band of all time, and
Yeah, they could have been.
they, you know,
They didn't do too
I
bad,
think-
though.
I honestly think their career, they're living off that Appetite album, and they just strayed so far off of that into their stuff they did after that. I don't know, man. Like, I'm so sour on them. I won't even buy Appetite on fucking vinyl, and I should have it. And it just, I don't know.
You don't like those illusion
I'm
records
being
are good.
critical on it.
The Illusion
Okay.
records are good. I like the Illusion records.
They're good. They were good. Looking back at them now, they're not as good as they were when I was a kid. They don't have that magic to them, you know. Appetite still holds that, but I don't know. Or just the whole thing with Axl, just fuck Guns N' Roses. I feel that's the way I feel.
Mike, the angry Mike G tonight. Angry Mike G tonight. He's very opinionated tonight.
I would like to hear a new record. I don't think it's gonna ever happen though.
No,
song
they
was
put out a
all
single
right.
or two. They
It
put
was
out a
all
couple
right.
singles.
Come
Yeah.
on,
I think you get.
you're adding a
songs
couple
in there.
points too because it's Guns N' Roses. Come on, just
Sure.
face it. If that was
Sure.
another band that did it, you'd be like,
I don't know.
so you're kidding yourself.
I like that kind of gritty gritty kind of rock. So
Yeah, I
that
liked it.
one
I
song
do
they
too,
put out.
but
What was it called? Rock School or some shit like that.
Uh,
High School or
Hard
Oh,
School.
Hard
maybe.
School.
I like
it,
that,
man.
It
That-
totally
that's-
sounds like Guns. It sounds like Guns N' Roses. You know, it totally sounds like
yeah.
damn, I listen to Chinese Democracy. I try that sends shivers down my spine. That album, like
Yeah,
it really
I like that
hurts
record.
me. Like it hurts my ears. It hurts my spine. It just kills me in every
Well,
spot.
I'm a fan of it.
If you would see them live, they do some of those songs with Slash, and they sound a million
Great.
times better.
Yeah.
You know, it's less.
Yeah, I'll take your
electronic. You
word
got
on it. I saw them
mean,
live twice.
Dude, better. I mean, that song "Better" with Slash is
It's
fucking,
great.
That's right up there with their
Yeah.
with their material. Johnny's Democracy, that song. I mean, it's nowhere near the Appetite. But that's one of the greatest albums of all time. That's why
It is absolutely.
that's why it's all. You
But-
know, a lot of bands could put out great records, but that's top five,
You're-
one of the best hard rock.
You're
albums
right.
Ever.
You're absolutely right. I'm not going to take that away from it.
Back in Black.
It's just that are they? Everybody, I think everybody makes them out to be like a juggernaut of a band when they really aren't. They didn't. You know, you took longer than Tool to put out albums. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but they were a juggernaut.
They were right for a couple albums. They were a juggernaut, and then
They were a
like
juggernaut.
a
they
lot of
broke
bands
through.
have,
they're living off of that now. You know,
Sorry.
and they're living pretty damn well playing football stadiums on.
Yeah,
You know what you're saying is one album. Who could do that? Nobody in this world could do that.
You got people going there just because they want to hear him do "Sweet Child of Mine" and "Welcome to the Jungle."
So what?
You know,
They're
they could give
showing up.
two shits about the rest of their stuff.
Dude, that top to bottom, people know all those songs.
Yeah, that
Off
record's
Appetite.
it's
Night
classic.
Train.
Right.
You know,
I'm not dissing that album at all. I'm not. It's a great album. I'm just saying, like, I don't think it had that big impact on the music industry as other albums in time. Like,
know.
I
That was
disagree- I
pretty big when it
disagree.
came out.
It was huge. Everybody in there, everybody, no matter what you liked, you had that record.
was talking about them.
You know,
right. But
Yeah.
they never lived up to that album again.
well,
No,
I
but,
mean,
you
it's
know,
hard
the-
to.
the-
It's
Yeah,
their
they shot
debut album. Like, it just came out with such a punch, and they never lived up to it.
Well,
When
this-
you're-
the
when you're-
Use Your Illusions were huge too. They were.
They had a
don't get-
sophomore
yeah.
slump with the Usual Lose. Yeah, they had some songs off it. They had 2 albums. We broke them down. You know,
They were
and
still
had-
playing big
they-
places though.
They were good, right? They were, but what happened after that?
you-
Spaghetti Incident.
when you record one of the greatest rock albums of all time,
You have a lot to
can't-
live up to.
yeah, but you can't top that. How
Right.
can you top the best if out of the millions of records that have ever been released?
So
How
well,
can you top
if you
after
can't
your
top
first
your
record?
debut album, then you're a fucking one-trick pony.
No,
I
not
guess
true.
they're one
Yes, absolutely.
Like,
You're a
the-
one-trick pony.
one of the most
If-
influential bands, and they're not playing JC Dobbs and
Yeah,
TLA.
No, I know they're not. But come on, like,
Yeah, okay, well,
They're-
who
no,
is
they're
that?
if they
Mike?
would have put, what if Use Your Illusion came out first?
They would have been successful. Those songs
Yeah.
are great.
Yeah,
November
November
I don't
Rain.
think they
Rain
would have been
huge.
as big.
November Rain's
No
got
way.
over a billion
Yeah, Mike,
views and
the
streams.
the numbers speak.
It's
for
a great
themselves, man.
song. I'm saying it's a great song, but like you could hear them like kind of going down quickly.
And that was
Well, that's the
a lot
band
of those
breaking
songs were
up.
written.
They lost
Yeah.
right.
In
They
the
lost
80s.
most of their members of the band. You
Well,
know,
that's what happens. The band when the
and the
band
band
starts
became
breaking up, it
just
gets
Axl
watered down.
Rose. It's it became what he wanted to do. He became the main writer.
Yeah, but
Hired everybody
yeah,
else.
but yo, Mike,
and,
yo,
and
Mike,
it's just not as good.
Mike, it happens with
Because
every
because
band.
But-
and you tend to forget
but
Slash
that's
was a
technically
fucking
their-
mess. Duff
Well,
was
yeah,
a
but-
fucking mess.
Yeah.
Axl
was a
wasn't
mess.
like
well,
No,
No.
no.
at
He
one
was
point he
not,
was.
dude.
No,
No.
I mean, he obviously he's got mental health issues. We could.
Well,
say
he never
that.
was
I mean,
one.
he's
He was
admitted
never
it.
but-
lit up like them. You thought he was.
No,
He was.
never.
Never.
No.
He was the
He
straight.
just
was
did.
straight
He
guy.
he just did stupid, fucking, crazy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, being totally sober. Yeah, you can't defend that, but he wasn't along the lines of
But-
the fucking drugs and shit like that. That's why he told him, like, you motherfuckers, you're going to sign this.
Okay, so what did he do between all those years between
He
Chinese
relaxed.
democracy?
He
You're right,
relaxed.
exactly. He ate a lot.
Counting his money.
Right.
Listen, I actually respect him that he didn't fucking sell out. Like he didn't. He did what he wanted to do.
He doesn't.
How many people
He,
do that?
he
How many
does
people
no
do what they want to do?
interviews.
Nobody.
Yeah, you don't see him on commercials. You don't see him.
He
fucking,
didn't sell out at all.
I don't think people wanted to work with him either.
people would kneel
Die to work
down.
with him.
They do anything for that
Yeah.
guy to get just an
Listen,
interview with him.
But it goes to why is Axel work? Puts out great stuff. He's got a mystique about him.
Puts out great stuff. No, but where's the quantity? Where's the
You're out of your
quantity?
mind.
There's no quantity. There's
yeah,
nothing.
I know you.
Where's
mean.
the quantity?
Dude, I totally know what you mean. As far as there really
There's
they don't have
nothing.
they don't have a huge body of work, but the stuff they put
When
out.
did Appetite come out? 87?
Yeah,
Right. What year is it now?
yeah. But it's quality over quantity.
4 albums.
If you put out 4 albums
4
and you
albums
have-
in how many years?
yeah, Mike, but they play 3.5-hour shows, and all those.
I don't
songs
give
are
a shit
fucking-
how many hours they
we're-
play on
Mike,
the shows.
Motley Crue plays an hour and 20 minutes, and they
Oh,
play
I'm
like
not-
15 songs. Guns N' Roses plays like close to 30 songs, and look at their set list. If you would go to see them today, you would be fucking amazed because nobody could play 3.5
Right, but the Grateful.
And
I'm
know
not,
all
I'm
those
not
songs.
even a fan by
And
any
people
means.
don't
The
leave.
Grateful Dead has a billion fucking albums out there. Their concerts are never the same when you go to them.
and nobody knows any of their songs.
Right.
But people still go. They still have it.
'Cause
It's a thing.
They still went.
It was an experience.
All right, we're under a
dude.
minute here,
Yeah.
guys. We're going to go much further with,
Listen.
with this nonsense. I feel like I'm having flashbacks to the text messages a couple days.
Yeah. No, I look, I agree. I agree with you, Mike. I I wish they would have put out more material because it is very, very disappointing.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like you go from that stuff to whatever came out of Democracy, and you're it's not the same band. There's no progression. I don't know.
Well, heated discussion here on Mixtapes and Tasty Cakes. We'll see you next week. Bye.